Welcome everyone. In this presentation, we are going to discuss the subject ME8071 Refrigeration and Air Conditioning, and this presentation is presented by Department of Mechanical Engineering Professors M. Balamurugan and Professor Seba Karthi. So here we are going to discuss the fourth unit of the subject, that is psychrometric properties and processes. So this is the syllabus. First, the properties of moist air, Gibbs and Dalton's law, specific humidity, dew point temperature, degree of saturation, relative humidity, enthalpy, humid specific heat or specific humidity, wet bulb temperature, thermodynamic wet bulb temperature, and we are also going to discuss about psychrometric chart and various psychrometric process and mixing of air streams. So these are the things that we are going to discuss in Unit 4. Psychrometry. So what is psychrometry? So psychrometry is the study of properties of mixtures of air and water vapor. Water vapor is also called as moist air. The air surrounded to us is called atmospheric air, and atmospheric air is a mixture of many gases and water vapor and number of pollutants also. So the mixture is called a atmospheric air, and we already know atmospheric air plays a vital role in climate change. Atmospheric air makes up the environment in almost every type of air conditioning system. Hence, through understanding of the properties of atmospheric air and the ability to analyze various processes involving air is a fundamental to the air conditioning design. So, we must study and aware about the atmospheric air properties. So, here you can see the atmospheric air is a mixture of so many gases, water vapor, and dust particles. After the filtration process, the dust particles had removed from the atmospheric air, and the mixture of permanent gases like N2, O2, argon, hydrogen, and water vapor are used for air conditioning process. So there must be no dust particles in the atmospheric air, what we are going to use for air conditioning process. So there are some basic laws applicable for moist air. First law is Gibbs-Dalton law for a mixture of perfect gases. Gibbs-Dalton law states that the total pressure exerted by a mixture is equal to the sum of partial pressures of the constituent gases. So each gas obeys a perfect gas equation. Hence, the partial pressure exerted by each gas is P1, P2, P3, and the total pressure Pt is given by, so Pt is equal to summation of P1, P2, P3. So if you consider the moisture is a perfect gas, you can use a ideal gas equation, that is PV is equal to mRT. So using that you can find the individual pressure. After finding the individual pressure, if you add all the individual pressures, you will end up with the total pressure. So this is the statement of Gibbs-Dalton law. You can write the total pressure in another way also, that is P equal to Pt equal to Pa plus Pv. Pa is a partial pressure of dry air and Pv is a partial pressure of water vapor. Pt is a total barometric pressure. So in psychrometry, there are various terms are used, but here are the some important terms that we are going to study. First is a dry bulb temperature. Dry bulb temperature. The temperature of the moist air as measured by a standard thermometer or temperature measuring instrument is called dry bulb temperature. So the temperature measured by a standard thermometer or any kind of temperature measuring instrument, you can call that temperature as a dry bulb temperature. And next one is a wet bulb temperature. Wet bulb temperature. It is the temperature of air recorded by a thermometer when its bulb surrounded by wet cloth exposed to the air. So if you surround the standard thermometer with a wet cloth, then you are measuring the temperature. That temperature is called wet bulb temperature. So next is your relative humidity. It is defined as the ratio of actual mass of water vapor in moisture to the mass of water vapor in saturated air at same temperature and pressure. So relative humidity pi, that is equal to the ratio of partial pressure of water vapor to the saturation pressure of pure water at the same temperature, that is equal to PV divided by P saturated, you can say. So next is a humidity ratio. The humidity ratio, also called as specific humidity, is the mass of water associated with each kilogram of dry air. It is also defined as the ratio of mass of water vapor to the mass of dry air in the given volume of air vapor mixture. Mathematically you can write the humidity ratio W equal to 0.622 PV divided by PT minus PV. And we already know PV is a pressure of water vapor at given temperature and PT is a total pressure. So the next term is a dew point temperature. If unsaturated moist air is cooled at constant pressure, then the temperature at which the moisture in the air begins to condense is known as dew point temperature of air. And next is a degree of saturation. The degree of saturation is the ratio of humidity ratio to the humidity ratio of saturated mixture at same temperature and pressure. So next is the enthalpy. The enthalpy of moist air is the sum of the enthalpy of dry air and the enthalpy of water vapor. Enthalpy values are always based on some reference value. For moist air, the enthalpy of dry air is given a 0 value at 0 degree Celsius, and for water vapor, the enthalpy of saturated water is taken as 0 at 0 degree Celsius. So you can write a relation enthalpy H is equal to HA plus W into Hg, that is equal to Cp into T plus W into HFG plus CpW into T, where Cp is the specific heat of dry air at constant pressure and unit is kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Cpw is the specific heat of water vapor and unit is kilojoule per kg Kelvin. T is a dry bulb temperature of air vapor mixture at given degree Celsius, and W is the humidity ratio and unit is kg of water vapor to kg of dry air, and HA is the enthalpy of dry air at temperature T, unit is kilojoule per kg, and Hg is the enthalpy of water vapor at temperature T, unit is kilojoule per kg. HFG is a latent heat of vaporization at 0 degree Celsius, unit is also kilojoule per kg. So after the substitution of constant values like Cp, Hg, we obtain H is equal to 1.005 T plus W into 2501 plus 1.88 T. This relation can be used for problems. Next is a specific volume. The specific volume is defined as the number of cubic meters of moist air per kilogram of dry air. From perfect gas equation, since the volumes occupied by the individual substance are same, the specific volume is also equal to the number of cubic meters of dry air per kilogram of dry air. So you can write the relation V is equal to RAT divided by PA, that is equal to RAT divided by PT minus PV. Since we already know PT is equal to PA plus PV and PV is equal to MRT. Using these two relations, you can write a relation for specific volume, and unit is meter cube per kg of dry air. So next is a wet bulb depression. So wet bulb depression, it is the difference between dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature at any point. So this is called wet bulb temperature. Like there is one more term called dew point depression. Dew point depression is the difference between the dry bulb temperature and dew point temperature. So next is here thermodynamic wet bulb temperature or adiabatic saturation temperature. The thermodynamic wet bulb temperature or adiabatic saturation temperature, you can call it in both way. It is the temperature at which the air can be brought to saturation state, that too in adiabatically, by the evaporation of waters into the flowing air. So you can see the arrangement for measuring thermodynamic wet bulb temperature. The equipment used for the adiabatic saturation of air. So this is the equipment used to for the process of adiabatic saturation. It is a very simplest form. It consists an insulated chamber containing adequate quantity of water. There is also an arrangement for extra water also. That water you can call it a something makeup water also you can call it, to flow into the chamber from its top. Actually, there will be one hose or pipeline at the top of this chamber which will supply the makeup water. So if you observe what is happening in this system is, if the unsaturated air enters into the chamber from this side, as the air passes through the chamber over a long sheet of water, the water vapor evaporates, which is carried with the flowing of steam of air, and the specific humidity of the air gets increased. So due to the water vapor absorbed by the steam, the makeup water is added to the chamber at this temperature, make the water level constant. So we have to keep the water level at the sump is constant. So we are spraying some makeup water from the top. Both the air and the water are cooled as the evaporation takes place. So this process continue until the energy transfer from the air to the water is equal to the energy required to vaporize the water. So when steady state conditions are reached, the air flowing at this section will be saturated with water vapor. The temperature of the saturated air at this section is known as thermodynamic wet bulb temperature or adiabatic saturation temperature. This is how we can calculate the thermodynamic wet bulb temperature or adiabatic saturation temperature. So this is the way to obtain that temperature. So as we already discussed, the thermodynamic wet bulb temperature or adiabatic saturation temperature is the temperature at which the air can brought to the saturation state adiabatically. The word adiabatically is very important, by the evaporation of water into the flowing air. So if you see the TS diagram, you can see the process 1 to 2. That is the adiabatic process, and the point 2 is called adiabatic saturation temperature. So next we are going to discuss about a psychrometric chart. So what is a psychrometric chart? A psychrometric chart is the graphical representation of the thermodynamic properties of moist air. A standard psychrometric chart are bounded by the dry bulb temperature line and the vapor pressure or humidity ratio as another line, that is a x and y axis. So the left hand side of the psychrometric chart is bounded by the saturation line. Later on we will see what is that saturation line. And psychrometric chart are readily available for the standard barometric pressure of 101.321 kilopascal at sea level, that is atmospheric pressure, and for normal temperature between the ranges of 0 to 50 degrees Celsius. So this is the psychrometric chart. If you observe the psychrometric chart, the vertical line, that is this line, So this vertical line is called a dry bulb temperature, and you can see the points or measurements of dry bulb temperature at the bottom. Next is a wet bulb temperature line. So this line, this purple line is called as wet bulb temperature line, and you can see the readings on this saturation curve. And next is a relative humidity lines. So this yellow line is known as relative humidity lines, and these horizontal lines, the green color point is the temperature of wet bulb temperature, dew point temperature, and the black line indicates the humidity ratio. So if you are able to fix a point by knowing any two parameters, you can find the other psychrometric properties using those 2 points. For example, if you know with the dry bulb temperature and specific humidity, you can find out all the other psychrometric properties using this psychrometric chart. So in this psychrometric chart, this saturation curve, the curved line, this saturation curve represents the 100% relative humidity at various dry bulb temperature. It also represents the wet bulb and dew point temperatures also. So now let us try to solve one problem using a psychrometric chart. So this is the statement of the problem using the psychrometric chart. For example, you can given with two temperature. One is a T is equal to 25 degrees Celsius, that is a dry bulb temperature, and TW, that is a wet bulb temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. And you are asked to find RH, relative humidity, dew point temperature, humidity ratio, specific volume, and enthalpy. Let's try to solve this problem. First, in psychrometric chart, you have to locate these 2 points, that is the dry bulb temperature and the wet bulb temperature. After locating that point, if you move towards your right, you can find specific humidity or humidity ratio. If you move along this direction, you can find the enthalpy value of at that condition. And if you move towards your left, you can find out the dew point temperatures. And if you want to find out the humidity ratio, that relative humidity, you can use this pink color line. So by fixing that state, you can find all the remaining psychrometric properties. So this is how the psychrometric chart is used in air conditioning and refrigeration industries. So the various psychrometric process involved in air conditioning to vary the psychrometric properties of air according to the requirement is as follows. So you can see this. First is a sensible cooling, and then sensible heating, cooling and dehumidification, heating and humidification, cooling and humidification, heating and dehumidification. So these are the process involved in psychrometric process. The most important process and most repeatedly used process are these processes. Let's try to understand what are these processes. So first is the sensible cooling process. The cooling of air without any change in specific humidity. You have to note this point. There will be no change in specific humidity is known as sensible cooling. You can see the process. During process O to A, the moist air content of air remains constant, but you can see the decrease in dry bulb temperature. So this is called a sensible cooling process. So next, we will see what is sensible heating process. Like sensible cooling process, the sensible heating process is also without any change in specific humidity, we are going to heat the air. So this process is known as sensible heating process. If you observe the psychrometric chart, the process O to B is known as sensible heating process. During this process, the moisture content of air remains constant, as we already said, and its temperature get increased due to the heating. We can use the heating coil for this heating purpose, and we can use a cooling coil for sensible cooling process. So next process is a cooling and dehumidification process. So this process is generally used in summer air conditioning to cool and dehumidify the air. So this cooling and dehumidification is used in summer air conditioning. The air is passed over a cooling coil or through a cold water spray. So to obtain this cooling and dehumidification process. In this process, the dry bulb temperature as well as the specific humidity of air is also get decreased. So the final relative humidity of the air is generally higher than the entering air. So the dehumidification of air is only possible when the effective surface temperature of the cooling coil is less than the dew point temperature of the air entering into the coil. So this is how the cooling and dehumidification process is achieved. So when the moisture is cooled below its dew point temperature, by bringing it in contact with the cold surface, some of water vapor in the air condenses and leaves the air stream as liquid. As a result of both temperature and humidity ratio of air get decreased. So if you observe the process O to C, this is the cooling and dehumidification process, and this process is achieved by a cooling coil. So MA, H0, W0 are the entry conditions, and this is the exit condition of the air get dehumidified. So next is a heating and dehumidification process. What is heating and dehumidification process? So heating and humidification. This process is generally used in winter air conditioning. Previous process we used in summer air conditioning. This is used in winter air conditioning to warm and humidify the air. It is the reverse process of cooling and dehumidification, you can say. When air passed through a humidifier having a spray water temperature higher than the dry bulb temperature of the entering air, the unsaturated air will reach the condition of saturation, and thus the air becomes very hot. The heat of vaporization of water is absorbed from the spray water itself, and hence it's also get cooled. So in this way the air becomes heated and humidified, thus the process is achieved. So if you observe this line, this is the heating and humidification process. You can see increase in dry bulb temperature and increase in humidity ratio also. This process is achieved using a heating coil. So next is a cooling and humidification. During this process, the air temperature drops and humidity get increased. So this cooling and humidification process can be achieved by spraying cool water in the air stream. The temperature of water should be lower than the dry bulb temperature of air, but higher than its dew point temperature. Then only the condensation will be avoided. So this process is also called as a evaporative cooling process. So this is how cooling and humidification is achieved. If you observe the psychrometric chart, so this process is called cooling and humidification. You can see the drop in temperature and increase in humidity, specific humidity. So next is a heating and humidification process. This process can be achieved by using the hygroscopic material. What is hygroscopic material? Which absorbs or adsorbs the water vapor from the moisture. If this process is thermally isolated, then the enthalpy of air remains constant. As a result, the temperature of air get increased, and as its moisture content get decreased. In general, the absorption of water by the Gyroscopic material is an exothermic reaction. As a result, heat is released during this process because this is a exothermic reaction which is transferred to the air and the enthalpy of air gets increased. So this gyroscopic material can be a solid or liquid also. This process is also called as adiabatic chemical dehumidification. So there may be a chances for asking this question in your university examination. What is adiabatic chemical dehumidification? So if you observe in the cyclomatic chart, the process O to F, this direction, this is known as heating and dehumidification. So as a result of this, dry bulb temperature get increased to TF and the specific humidity get decreased to WF. So this is called heating and dehumidification. Next topic is a mixing of air streams. What is mixing of air streams? When two quantities of air having different enthalpies and different specific humidities are mixed, the final air mixture depends upon the masses involved and the specific humidity of the each of the constituent masses which enter the mixture. From the mass balance of dry air and water vapor, you can see MaW1 plus Ma2W2 equal to Ma3W3. So 1 and 2 are the initial entry condition and 3 is a final condition. You can replace Ma3 with Ma1 plus Ma2 because mass is a cumulative. And if you observe this energy balance, if you write with in terms of enthalpies, that is Ma1H1 equal to Ma2H2. Sorry, Ma1H1 plus Ma2H2 equal to Ma3H3. That is equal to Ma1 plus Ma2 into H3. So this is how the stream get mixed. And this is the state. Point 3 is a final state. Point 1 and 2 are the initial conditions of entering stream. So there are some miscellaneous things related to the heating and cooling coil. First one is a sensible heat factor. What is sensible heat factor? The heat added during a cyclomatic process may be split into two heat. One is a sensible and another one is a latent heat. Sensible heat is responsible for increase in temperature and latent heat is responsible for phase change. So the sensible heat factor, the ratio of sensible heat to the total heat is known as sensible heat factor. And next is a bypass factor. When the air passes over the coil, some of it, say, let us say x kg of air just passes without touching the coil. You can say the unaffected, while remaining 1 minus x kg come direct contact into the coil, which will get increase the temperature or decrease in temperature. This bypass process of air measured in terms of a term called bypass factor. We can see bypass factor is the ratio between the actual temperature drop to the maximum possible temperature drop. Maximum possible temperature drop, you can write here the temperature difference between the coil of temperature to the entry temperature of air. Next is a efficiency of heating and cooling coils. We already discussed what is bypass factor. So the term 1 minus bypass factor is equal to known as 1 minus bypass factor is known as the efficiency of coil. You can call this as a contact factor also. So if you want to find out the efficiency, first you have to find out the bypass factor by using the temperatures of coil and entry and leaving temperature. Then if you want to find out the contact factor, you can simply subtract from 1, you will end up with the efficiency or contact factor, you can say. So these are the things what we have syllabus see in our syllabus. So this is the thing in unit 4, that is psychrometric properties and process. And all these three things, that is the efficiency, the contact factor, the bypass factor, and one more term is called a sensible heat factor. All these things related to the heating and cooling of the coils, heating and cooling coils.